Click. Did that hit? Oh, it's time for show. Oh. Click. Punk Kevin. All right, everybody. All right, I'm shutting the music down. I'm gonna bring in the voices of my guys. I'm gonna change the screen here, so we're gonna get the show started. And that's not the right one. No, that's not the right one either. Yeah, I think this is it. No, that's not right either. What is it? Video recording. Yeah, this is it right here. All right. So, just a warning to everybody watching. When I'm sharing my screen, so if I bounce to a different thing like a spreadsheet like that, then that's what you'll see. And as a matter of fact, let's start with that. So welcome everybody to episode 2 of All Things Fantasy Grounds with my co-host Leroon and our special guest Lazy Stooner. Before we start, I'm going to have those guys introduce themselves in just a second, but I do want to read our disclaimer here, which you can see on the screen. All Things Fantasy Grounds talk show. Ooh, thanks for the follow. All Things Fantasy Grounds talk show is meant to teach and help, but the opinions of the three of us stated on the show tonight are not that of SmiteWorks USA LLC or Fantasy Grounds. So welcome everybody, and Leroon, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hello, I am Leroon, founder of Fantasy Grounds College, joining with Rob 2E and Lazy Stooner, and we're going to talk about some effects tonight.
All right, cool. And Lazy Stooner, introduce yourself.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Lazy Stooner, also a streamer and an avid player in Rob2E's games as well as 5e.
All right, cool. So how this is going to work, guys, is we're going to go ahead and go through some coding things. If you have questions, go ahead and type them in the chat, and we'll try to answer those. When we get all the way through the presentation, we will still stay and answer any questions. So if you guys have questions and they don't get answered, thanks Will for the follow. If they don't get answered during the show, we will answer them after. And then we are going to be giving away a couple prizes during the show today at random times. And those prizes are, coincidentally enough, the coding package that I did for the DM's Guild, which has all the spells, feats, and class features and race traits in it. And then the other prize will be all of the coding effects for the items and that are in Fantasy Grounds as well. So let's get started. Before we start, guys, do you have anything specific you want to say, or shall we just jump into it?
I think I'm good.
Yeah, let's just jump right into it, sir.
All right, cool. So I'm going to open up each of their characters here, and we have some pre-built characters here. Then we just example. We have a level 1 wizard, and we have a level 6 wizard. Oh, they happen to both be wizards. That's fine. Because since it's an example, we're not really going to pay attention too much to the fact that they're wizards. We're going to just more pay attention to coding. So one question that a lot of people have is, what's the deal with the shift drag thing, and how does that all work? So let's just use one so we can have an example here. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the spells, and we're going to do, yeah, there it is. Let's do Hunter's Mark. So if you bring over Hunter's Mark, it will put something on the sheet for you. And so you see it here. And what this will do is, if you go to the combat tracker and you apply this Hunter's Mark effect by clicking it, it'll apply it to yourself in the combat tracker. So there it is, FGC Leroon, effects DMG 1d6, C is for concentration, and expires on next roll. So if Leroon goes to attack and hits and then is going to do damage, let's just say he's going to roll damage on the short sword, and he's going to do that to Thrask. He's going to roll it, and it will in fact do the damage. Now I had my push to talk is shift, so I had my push to talk down, so yeah, I forgot that might happen during the show. So it did crit damage only because I'm holding the shift key. But you see it did his short sword damage, 1d6 plus 3, and then it did shift, but it also added an extra d6. and then it took the effect off there. Now, that's the way that normally you would use Hunter's Mark, is that you would apply that effect every single time you're going to do damage. But there's a better way to do it. And so, to me, the better way to do it is to take away the uh, the expend and change that to never. So now when we apply that effect, it'll stay on there all the time. But as you guys know, those of you that play 5e, you know that Hunter's Mark only applies to one target. And so we want to make sure that we put the Hunter's Mark on ourselves, but we want to have it only apply to a certain target. So I'm going to apply Hunter's Mark to the Tarrasque by holding my Shift key and dragging the effect and dropping it on the Tarrasque. Now you notice that the effect did not go on the Tarrasque. It went on my character, or in this case FGC Leroon. And it says there, effects, target Tarrasque, DMG 1d6, and it's set for concentration so that if I lose my concentration it will come off. And it's only going to work with the Tarrasque. So now let me do damage to the Tarrasque without holding shift this time. So you see that it did my d6 plus the 1d6 for Hunter's Mark, but watch what happens when I damage the zombie. No, it doesn't do it, right? Because it only applies to the target of the Tarrasque. And again, how I got that on there was I held shift and I drug it to my target, not to myself. And the fact that the effect is marked self means that it will apply to me, but it will do the targeting thing. So hopefully, don't get too confused, guys. If you've never seen this stuff before, don't worry about it. We're gonna put this video on YouTube, and we'll go over it again. So if you're a little shaken by what the hell's happening, just don't worry about it. We'll get to that.
Also, ladies and gentlemen, when he's talking, you see what it did? You're looking in the left-hand side in the chat where it tells you the damage done and by who.
Right.
Just a heads up.
Exactly. So the other thing now is that should damage be applied to Leroon here, that concentration will come into effect because of the C. And you can damage yourself. So I damaged him, and you see Fantasy Grounds automatically rolled the concentration save, and it was a success, so that effect stays. Now, should that fail, which it did right then, he rolled an 8 on his concentration save, so it said he failed, and then it took the effect off automatically. So that C, Fantasy Grounds knows that it is supposed to trigger the concentration saving throw if that's there. Now, I guess this is a good time to explain to people that I've actually coded everything in Fantasy Grounds. I've coded all the spells, I've coded all the feats, all the race traits, all the items, and all the class features. So if we go to the spells list again, and we drag on the one that I've done, you see that it's pretty much the same, except for I put a title in mine. So now when it goes on the combat tracker, instead of just saying the effect, it actually says Hunter's Mark. So players and DMs can go, instead of looking at something that just says DMG 1d6 and wondering what it is, now you see that it's Hunter's Mark because I've titled those. So let me just take those off. And also in my codings, I have B, 90, C, SD. Like, what's all that? What's going on? Well, there's a key for it, and you get used to what it means. B is bonus action, and 90 is the range, C is the concentration, and SD tells you that this is an effect that you need to shift drag, which is what we did. We started with. Okay, 1 second. We started with a pretty complicated one, but the shift drag is very important for people to learn. So there are a lot of people out there that are frustrated by the coding like I was when I first started, and that's why I made all these codes. So if you don't want to learn it and you just want to have it, you can buy my stuff or win the prize in the chat today. But it's really important that you do learn how to do it, because even though I've done everything in the game, you might have a situation where you get into a homebrew situation, or you're playing a game that you make up new items or new monsters, and it's got stuff that you need coded, but it isn't part of the WotC or the 5e, and so you need to learn how to do that. Go ahead with the question.
Okay, for anyone who's purchased this, where would they find these abilities other than searching? So I see you search it for Hunter's Mark, but where do they actually reside in the spell section? So if I purchase the Rob 2e coding effects package. They're in the spells, but where at in the spells? Are
Ah,
they grouped?
okay, so yeah, so in the library, right now all I have open is the player's handbook, and I have the maps open because I need a map, and then I have my spell effects coding. That's all that's open. So if you go in the library and click there, you can go to the spells list, and not to be confused, but all of the codings that I made are all in the spells list. Even if it's a feat, even if it's classes, even if it's a race trait, even if it's an item, they're all in the spells list. And the reason that is because spells are what you can drag onto the actions tab. You can't drag an item onto the actions tab, and you can't drag a feat onto the actions tab. Well, maybe you can, but anyway, so that's where they all reside. Is that the question that you were asking?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Um, and they are broken down into categories. So just to show everybody here, I'll go open up a couple more of these, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Let's open up coding, and we'll do the class features. We'll do adventuring gear and feats. We'll just do a couple of them. All right, so now when I go to the spells list here, we're going to see spells themselves just have the name of the spell, but like here's anti-paladin, so that's race stuff for the anti-paladin. So it's all anti-paladin first, then more spells, and then you can actually come down here and you can open up this list and you can put like I want did I not open items? Let's see. Yeah, I did open. Oh, adventuring gear. So if you type in items in the search, it's going to bring up all the items that you have in there. And again, not to be confused, everything goes in the spell list because when you open a character, and let's say you bought the Alchemist's Fire or you found one, it's a magic item. So you'll have the magic item. Now the item itself might be on your inventory, like it might be over here in your inventory, but for the effect and the code that you need, you would drag it from the spell list, and it says item, and you would just drag it over to your spells list, and then it's already categorized as an item, and there's all the codes for you. It does ongoing 1d4 fire damage, and don't mess around because you will burn. So that's just an example of how that works. Okay, any other questions so far?
Nope.
Not you guys either? Okay. So, Sooner, I know you had something that you asked me before the show that you wanted me to definitely cover. What was that?
That was if types, sir.
Oh, if types. Okay.
Yeah, because it's rough. Like, I still don't understand them. I've had it, you code them for me about 30 times. I've looked at the wiki page, which confuses me a little bit from time to time.
Oh
And
yeah.
I still don't understand how to do if types.
Okay, so we'll definitely do that. By the way, um, I think this is where you do it. If you open the effects, we'll show where you can find the wiki page. If you open the effects box, which is the little man up here on the upper right, and you click this question mark right here, it will open the website at Fantasy Grounds for the effects. And if you scroll down, you'll see the myriad of all these things that are super overwhelming, and you're like, oh my god, I'm out, and you just close it and you never come back. But that's how you learn how to do stuff. That's the sort of the format for all the codes. And I made it my business about a year and a half ago to just learn this. And here's what Stooner's talking about, the if types, the if colon or the if t. So we'll show an example of that. So a great one that comes up a lot is, what is it? Divine Smite, which one is it?
Yeah, Divine Smite has an if type for undead.
Okay, so let's go bring in a Divine Smite. Let's go to Spells. We'll find Divine Smite. Okay, so we'll use the anti-paladin one. I think there's one for paladin as well. We use just in either one's fine. So bring that in, and we'll show what's up with that. So it looks pretty complicated. Oh my God, what is all this, right? So let's go ahead and we'll have Lazy Sooner's character apply Divine Smite to himself. So, and then we'll go through what the effect does. So, what this effect is saying, first of all, Divine Smite or anything that you put before a semicolon is just a title, so that doesn't really have any effect. But this is saying DMG, which is damage 2d8 radiant. So no matter what, when you do damage, it's going to do 2d8 radiant extra damage. And if T stands for if type, and it's Fantasy Grounds is saying if this is an undead creature, I also want to add another 1d8 radiant. And I want it to expire on the next roll, and it applies to myself. So we've already got the effect on there. So now I'm going to do damage to the Tarask, and let's just clear this so it's easier to see. All right, now I'm going to damage the Tarask. So I applied Divine Smite, and when I damaged the Tarask, it did that's confusing me because I think that's too many dice. What happened there? Oh, yeah, because I held shift down probably.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, forget that happened. Let me don't be confused. All right, let's try that again. So apply it and then roll the damage. Ah, there we go. Okay. So now you see that it did my d6 damage and then it added 2d8 for the radiant damage, and then it took the effect away. So now let me apply that effect again, and this time I'm going to throw the damage on the zombie. And this time you see that it did my d6, it did the 2d8 for Divine Smite, and it added another d8 for the zombie. So basically what if T means, and it can be used many different ways, so you kind of have to study how that uses, but if T : type undead, add a damage. So I could change that type to any of the other types. I could say humanoid, I could say giant, I could say ooze, whatever it might be. But that's pretty much how that works. Is it's telling Fantasy Grounds, I only want you to do something if this is happening. And you can also put, like if I wanted to, I could go into this code, I could put my cursor in there, and I could type in I could do that. I could add types. So now when I apply that, it will do the extra D8 radiant if it's an undead or a giant or an ooze. And what is the Tarask? The Tarask is a monstrosity. So let's watch this. I'll go in here and I'll add monstrosity. Okay, so now that I've added monstrosity and apply the code, we saw before that it didn't damage the Tarask with 3d8, only 2d8, but now it should do 3d8. Oh, I love it when crap works. All right, there you go. So for you personally, Sooner, does that clear it up or help you to understand that, or is there something else you think you need to know about that?
No, sir, that works for me personally. I have a question. So, what's the difference between doing an if type and a shift drag? Because it seems to do the same thing to me. I know I'm
Okay.
springing
No,
this
no.
on you a little bit, but
That's okay. They are completely different. I could see how you would, in your mind, I could see how you would correlate those, but they're completely different. So the if type is telling Fantasy Grounds if the type of monster, which is listed here, this is a monstrosity, zombies are undead, whatever the type of monster is, and if you open the stat block, you can see under type, undead, and if you open the Tarask, his type is monstrosity. So if T talks about the type, and, well, actually, you know what, I should, yeah, and man, I knew that when we did the show, I would be saying things that would confuse people. I keep saying if T type, and what I mean to say is if T is target. So what if T actually means is if the target you're talking about is type undead, you can also put if target is bloodied, if target is, lawful evil. You can put any kind of stuff in there like that. So if T stands for if target. Now the difference between the shift drag is you're only telling Fantasy Grounds, I want whatever effect I'm using to apply to this specific one thing in the combat tracker and nobody else. So there's a big difference between those two.
Well, there's a question in the chat. If you put a period, not a comma, after ooze, does it still work for the effect?
It shouldn't, but I see that I have a period in there, which is wrong. I'll bet you not. It worked for monstrosity, but let me put ooze in there and see if it works. The answer is no, it shouldn't. But now I'm interested. Now I'm curious to find out. So
Good
let me
spot.
go. Is there an ooze in the player's handbook? I probably have to open the monster manual, don't I? I don't think there's.
The person commented shortly after, no, it didn't work. No, it did work, apparently. Sorry,
Yeah,
I missed
it
the
did work.
period. Fucking no commas. Goddamn.
Right.
Sorry, my bad.
Okay, let me open the monster manual and get an ooze. We can get like black pudding or something. NPCs. Black pudding. Alright, and just to double check, black pudding is an ooze, yes? It is, okay. So let's see if that works. It shouldn't work. And if it does, I'm gonna be very disappointed because I want it to be where it doesn't work. Okay, so did I apply the effect? I did. Okay, let's roll damage. It did not work. Okay, so now let me change that to a comma. It's very important. I'm glad that happened. I'm glad that I made that mistake and that the person in chat caught it. Because you do have to be kind of specific with all of your commas and semicolons and colons. That I can think of off the top of my head, colon, semicolon, and comma is the only punctuation that you use in these codes. Period doesn't ever get used that I can think of. So now that I fixed it, let me try that again. We'll apply the damage to the black pudding, and we should get 3d8. Yes, we did. All right, awesome. So thanks for that question, whoever that was. Was that Sidewinder?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir. All right, cool. Anything else we need to cover on that? All right.
Could you build a weapon with these same codes? Or do you have to have the codes to add to the weapon?
Okay, so with weapons in particular, let's do that. Let's build us a magic weapon.
So quarterstaff of smiting.
Quarterstaff of smiting. Okay, sounds good. So, we have a quarterstaff,
Mm-hmm.
and what would you like to have it be? Like, what does quarterstaff of smiting mean to you? What is it going to have?
1d8 extra radiant damage, and if type 1d8 undead.
Yep.
Okay, great. So there's two ways you can do it. In the quarterstaff, you can add damage to, like, I can bring up another d8 there and say that that's radiant. Now, what will happen is when it even says here it's going to do 1d6 bludgeoning and 1d8 radiant. But in the weapon itself, there's no way to code that if you hit an undead with it. So, there's no way to do that. You have to actually make a code. So what I like to do is let's forget go back and we'll take that out and leave it the way it was. And then we'll go down here and build a code. So this is going to be it's going to be an effect that goes on the weapon when you use it. So we're going to call this quarterstaff of smiting.
Yep.
Okay, and we want to right click on that. We're going to add an action. That action is not going to be a cast. It's not going to be damage. It's not going to be a heal. It is going to be an effect. So we're going to open the magnifying glass to the effect. Now, I like to have titles. So I'm going to copy that title in there, and then I'm going to put a semicolon. The semicolon tells Fantasy Grounds, hey, whatever's before that, just ignore that. That's just a title. Now we're going to come over here and we're going to tell it it's going to do an extra D8 damage. So we're going to put DMG colon space 1D8. And we're going to call that bludgeoning damage. No, you said radiant damage.
Yes,
So
sir.
you put the type. And now I want Fantasy Grounds to do something in addition to that. So I'm going to put a semicolon. And I'm going to say, here comes another thing. And now I'm going to say, if target is type, what did you say, undead?
Yes, sir.
And we need the I in there, right?
Did it not come in there? Yeah, I do. Sometimes my keyboard doesn't.
Right.
Okay. Oops, I spelled 1d8 radiant. Radiant. You got to read before you can learn how to spell. All right, 1d8 radiant. Okay, I think that should work, and if it doesn't, we'll fix it.
I got
All
a
right.
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you open that back up for a sec, the effect that you're coding. Now, can you do that as ongoing damage until the undead saves?
Okay, let's take one thing at a time. Yes, you can do that.
Okay, that's all I
But
wanted to know.
yeah, but one thing at a time, because that'll just freak people out. It's already freaking me out, and I'm the one that's coding it. All right, so you saw that I went and I made that self, because anything that you have that's an effect, if you hit the button, it's going to do it at whatever target you're targeting on the map. But this is for ourselves. We want that effect to be on us, because we're the one that's attacking. So let me open the combat tracker. Boom. And let's go back up here to Lazy Sooner's character. So I built the effect. I'm going to apply it to myself. And we're hoping that it's going to work. So we're using our quarterstaff. Let's say that we want to apply this effect because we hit. We could roll the hit. Let's just say we hit. So I'm going to apply the effect. So now the effect is on there saying, when I roll this damage for the quarterstaff of smiting. Oh, do I still have the other one on there too? I better take that off. Yeah. Oh no, I had it on there twice. Oh my god. All right, nobody panic. All right, everybody calm down. All right, so it's going to say do an extra D8 damage radiant, and if it's an undead, do another D8. So let's attack the Tarask, which we know to be not undead. We dropped the damage, and it did my damage plus the D8. And I didn't. Oh, see, good. I didn't make that expire. Now I should have had that expire, but I didn't do it, so it's still there. So let's go and fix that. I'll say expire on the next roll. And now I'm going to do damage to the zombie, which we know is undead. And it rolled the D6 plus the D8, and it took the effect away. Oh, it did not, did it? What the? Oh, okay, well. So good. I'm glad that mistake was made. Now everybody's wondering, well, he set it to the next roll. Why didn't it take it away? Well, I did come in here and I did fix the effects to next roll, but what I didn't do is I didn't reapply it to my character in the combat tracker. I left the old one on there. So if I go take that away and then reapply it, now you see that it says roll right there. So now when I do it, it should work. Boom, boom, bing, bang, boom, boom, boom. That's what that's for. All right.
It worked perfectly.
And it worked perfectly. Yep. Now, you said, Leroon. I killed the zombie, everybody. He's dead. He's dead. I need to.
We have to remove stuff on him, right? The zombie.
What do you? Oh, well, yeah, he's got unconscious on him. We'll take that away. Okay. So, you said now, can I do it where it applies ongoing damage?
So let's do 1d4 radiant on go. So DMGO, 1d4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so you would apply that not to yourself, but to the monster. So what we would do is we would come and we would add an effect. And then we would call it Quarterstaff of Smiting. And we would say DMGO 1d4 radiant. And instead of now saying myself, we don't want it to be me. We want it to be the target. And we want its expiration to be never. We want it to go until he saves.
Okay.
All right. So now we can also build the save for him. So let's do that. Let's call that and that's actually going to be a cast.
Okay.
So it's going to be a save. And what do you say that the save is going to be? What type of save does he has to make?
Probably wisdom or.
Okay, and just based on your character, your
Yeah.
group DC. Okay, so we'll leave that. Your versus your wisdom.
Yes.
I don't know, whatever the hell it is. We're just making stuff up. So he's got a wisdom save DC 10. Okay, so now let's go through the scenario. You apply your effect. You hit the zombie, and so you're gonna roll your damage.
Okay.
He takes that, and now you're going to, assuming that you have the zombie targeted, which let's make that happen. Okay, you must have the zombie targeted. To do anything that isn't self, you must have the target. So now you're going to apply the effect to him. So now we see that that zombie has quarterstaff of smiting, damage 1d4 radiant ongoing. And let's go to his turn. And oh, he took 4 damage. Whoops. Uh-oh, don't die. And now he has to pass a save. So we'll apply the save to him. And he got a successful save. So that means that the player who applied that to the zombie should be able to open up the zombie and take that effect off.
Okay.
You know what? You guys are connected to the table, right?
Yes, sir.
So, Lazy Sooner, go to your character and apply the quarterstaff of smiting DMGO effect to the zombie. I just want to.
Okay, I have it targeted. Yep.
Okay, now apply the effect to him. Okay, now can you remove that effect from him?
Yes, sir. I can.
Do it. Oh, because Fantasy Grounds is amazing. That's why. Holy moly. It didn't used to be able to do that.
That's awesome.
All right. So I think I covered everything with that one.
One more step on that.
What is it?
Now, instead of expiring, can we do half damage on save?
Okay. On ongoing, you cannot do that.
Okay, just
You
curious.
you can do a save on half and then apply damage. So like for example, we can fix that to we can come over here to damage and click this box and say half on success.
Okay.
But now you have to have a damage to apply to him. So let's roll the save for him. And he failed, so he's going to take full damage. Which he did. Now let's do the save again until he passes it. Stupid zombie. Okay, he passed his save, so now when I apply damage, it should only be half. Did I do it to the right one? Oh, I didn't. Okay, well, if I knew what I was doing. Let's try that again. So let's call this zombie, so I don't get confused. He's going to be zombie Pete. All right, let's make him do the save until he passes it. Okay, he succeeded, so now damage should be half.
Except for you rolled a 1, so that makes
Oh
it
no. Okay, so I'm glad this happened because a lot of times I even get confused. I mean I'm pretty inside and out on all this coding stuff, but I get confused. You can't do it from this damage from the weapon. You have to do it from adding a damage to the actual coding. So we're gonna
Okay.
say let's say that the damage is 2d6, and we'll call it whatever radiant. So now let's get that zombie back up to some good health here. Okay, so now if I do the save against Zombie Pete and he fails, he's going to take full damage, which he did. Now let's do it till he passes it, which he did. Now he should only take half, which he did. He got 5 and he took 2, so it
Okay.
works. So that's
Nice.
a good thing that you pointed out, which is with these saves that are work with an H there, if you mark this box half on success or leave it blank, that's how that changes. If it's a half on
Okay.
success save, it will only work with damage that you do from down here, not with damage on any weapons or anything up there.
So you wouldn't apply the damage from the quarterstaff; it would be from the effect.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
But
like
now,
a
so
coding.
and again, I keep going back to the phrase "don't be confused." But we just built a whole lot of extra crap in here that we didn't originally. We're only showing how things work now. You wouldn't have a staff that had this effect on it and then also this effect. You wouldn't really have that ever, I don't think.
Right.
But you guys asked me to show you how it works, so now we're getting into we're getting deep into the weeds now with why would anybody put all those effects on there? You really wouldn't. All right.
So there's only a few shift drag spells that you coded. Is that right? Is that only a few
Yeah, there's like
available?
4 or 5 of them, but let's give away a prize.
Sounds good.
All right, so we are going to give away a prize, everybody, and that prize is going to be the coding package for all of the items. And I'm going to start a raffle.
Woo!
I will start a raffle over here. Keyword raffle. Keyword is items. And we'll run this for 5 minutes, and I think I can start it. So there you go, everybody. Keyword is items, so type exclamation items to enter the raffle, and this is for this particular item, which I will show you now. This is for this Fantasy Grounds 5e coding package for items. It contains codes for all the magic items and mundane items, including rods, staffs, wands, rings, potions, venturing gear, armor, wondrous items, and weapons. So if you want to win that, go ahead and enter the raffle, and you will be given a copy of that for free because, bam, that's how we do it. Okay, guys, what else do we need to go over?
X.
There is a question in the chat that I know can be answered really easy.
Okay.
Can you code lucky?
Can you code lucky? Well, let's find out.
Yeah. It's a halfling trait.
There's a feat lucky. Is it the same as the halfling trait?
You just reroll ones when you fuck up.
Oh, this is 3 luck points. Okay, so let's open the. I don't think I have the race things open. Let's see. Lucky, lucky, lucky. What is? Oh, see, I panic. We need race traits.
And I believe it's a halfling one.
Okay, so let me go to find out why that's not there. Class features, feats, race traits. Instructions, notes. All right, halfling. Lucky has no coding, but it's awesome. That's what it says. So I've covered everything. If there's no code for it, I've told you why there's no code for it. So lucky, let me find out what that does. Let me go to halfling and open it up and see what that says to me and why there's no code. Lucky, lucky, lucky. When you roll a 1 on an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, you can re-roll the die and must use a new roll. Absolutely no way to code that. Absolutely can't be done. The only thing you can do is you can code a weapon to do a re-roll, but not a save or a check or anything like that. But re-roll on a weapon is a different thing, and we can cover that actually because that's part of it. But that the lucky trait itself cannot be coded.
Well, that's what I was leading into with this question because I knew the answer already.
Okay.
What can you do for a weapon on coding? Like,
Okay.
can we affect the crits? Can we affect the minimum damage?
Yes. So if you go to the weapons bar and you open up, if you click on the magnifying glass that's right here on the weapons bar, it'll open up this window right here, and this is where you can type. If you have, say, the champion or any other feat or feature that lets you crit on any other number than 20, you can go here and type in 19. You can do it for melee or ranged weapons or both. And then over here, you can do extra crit dice. So if you have the barbarian thing that lets you get an extra crit or an extra die on your crit, you can also put, one dice here for melee and none for range or something like that. And then it will do that when you, I mean, we could try to show an example of it, but, are we going to be here all day until I roll? Here, let's say I'm going to crit on a 15 or higher. We'll just get crazy and do some crap that never ever happens. No, let's call it a 10. So anything on a 10 or higher is going to crit on a melee weapon. So if I go over here and I roll a 17, it's going to say critical hit right there. And if you do damage, it's going to do the crit damage. So there you go. Oh, and you see that it did the d6, it did the crit damage. And because I have extra crit die 1 melee, it also did another one for that. So that's how that works. You guys can code that crap in there. The other thing though that people need to know about as far as reroll is that there's some traits or feats or whatever that give you, like great weapon fighting, I think, or something like that, that gives you can reroll 1s or 2s. And how you do that is you open up any weapon. So I open up the quarterstaff here just by clicking on the magnifying glass here to the right. And right here under properties, you can put in reroll 1 or 2 or even 3s. Like let's put in 3 just for fun.
Okay.
So now let me clear the chat. Clear chat. So now if I roll an attack and sorry, if I roll damage, you know what? Let's make this a super powerful thing. Let's say that this is a 4d6 quarterstaff.
Wow.
Because you're awesome. So let's roll the damage, and I put in reroll 3. So now watch this. Okay. What was rolled was
Dice 2 and Dice 4 got rerolled.
yeah. Dice 2 and Dice 4 were either a 3 or below, and they got re-rolled. Now, this guy ended up with a 2 there, but the fourth die became a 5. So it will let's see. Let me roll that again and see if we can actually see the picture of what all the dice are real quick. Okay, 5, 5, 3, 6. 5, 5, 3, 6. Okay, so 5, 5, and 6 were fine. The 3 got re-rolled and turned into a 4. So there you go. Oh, re-roll 3. So that's how that works.
Awesome.
The prize. Let's see who won the prize. It's been 5 minutes. Let's draw a winner. The winner is oh my god, I'm not gonna say this right, but the winner is Dedragonair. Okay, good. Dedragonair, congrats. Dedragonair has won the items coding package. If you would get into Discord and PM me your DM's Guild email, I will get that to you. If you do not have a DM's Guild email,
Nice.
if you don't have a DM's Guild email, then sign up for DM's Guild and get me that email. And I put my Discord in the chat, or at least I thought I did. Whoops. So if you're not on my Discord, go ahead and click on that, get in there and PM me, and I'll take care of you. Oh, I put it in the Fantasy Grounds chat. No good. And then we're gonna give away one more at the end of the show too. So, what else do we might need to cover here?
Hex.
Hex. Okay, let's do Hex. Hex is another one of these shift drag deals. All right,
on
let's.
Runes.
Is it okay?
No, it's not. It's
No, we'll
Hunter's
fix it.
Mark.
Yeah, well, we did Hunter's Mark, so let's do Hex. So let's go get Hex. All right, I'll bring the Fantasy Grounds version over. And there's Hex, and now I'll bring my version over to compare the difference.
Okay.
So kind of the same as Hunter's Mark. It is a shift drag one, so when you hex somebody, you're hexing them that if you hit them, it's going to do an extra d6 necrotic, but only to that target and not to any other targets because you're only hexing one person. So if you do the Fantasy Grounds one, you apply you apply it, so it gives you 1d6 necrotic. Now if you were to roll damage on the Trask, you would get the extra d6 and then it would remove the effect from you. And you can certainly use it that way. If you want to apply it every time, that's perfectly fine. What I have done is I've told you it's a bonus action, I've told you it's a 90 feet, I've told you it's concentration, and I've told you that it's a shift drag effect. So with Hex, I'm going to shift drag this onto the Tarask. It's going to apply it to me and tell me the target. But part of Hex is also that you can give disadvantage to whoever you're hexing with with ability checks on a chosen ability. So now you see that it says edit here. So the player would open this up, and I'm gonna hex his strength. So I'm gonna change the word edit to strength, and I'm gonna apply that to the Tarask. And so now he's got disadvantage on strength checks. And I can usually what I like to do is myself. This doesn't get used very often, but after I hex somebody, you can leave it there if you always think you want to use strength. I go back in and I change it to edit again, just so that I know in the future I can change that to any of the 6 abilities that I want. That's what I do. So you can now watch what happens if I do a strength check for the Tarask. Oh, he's got disadvantage. Boo! He still rolled a 19. I don't like it. We're all gonna die. And then, of course, if I do damage to the Tarask, he's got the extra hex damage on him. And if I do damage to anybody else, that isn't there. So that's how that works.
So I got a statement on that.
Yeah.
So if you're an experienced player or a very smart warlock or whatever class gets that spell, if you're going up against a melee character, more than likely strength is going to take care of that or help you, right?
Yeah, like if
Because they
you
rely on strength to
yeah, and if
attack
the
and stuff.
so right, and so if you hex somebody and you use strength, then if they try to grapple you or do any of that kind of crap, then they'll be at a severe disadvantage.
And then if it's a rogue that relies on, let's say, dexterity,
Yeah,
same
then you
type of thing, right?
right, you can go here and take edit and change that
And then if you have
to
a
dexterity.
charisma-based character, same thing. You would just
So on that same note, can you make coding for advantage or disadvantage for saves? Like you can apply it to a person.
Yeah, now yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I've built a whole thing. This is another thing that I have on the DM's Guild, and it's called Conditions and Effects. So now, if you're just in Fantasy Grounds and you open the effects, you're gonna see all the blinded, charmed, cursed, defense, all that stuff is all right there. Now, if you open my module, it's gonna put approximately, I don't know, 275 or more effects there. So, like you were saying, I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on and on and on forever. Like, look at all that stuff. So now you were saying, can you code like somebody has a disadvantage on it? What was it?
Uh,
Advantage?
any type of saving throw, basically.
Disadvantage or advantage?
either one.
Both
Okay.
disadvantage, preferably disadvantage, because I like to use disadvantage against my enemies.
Okay, the code for disadvantage on a save is dissave. So here's a bunch of stuff with dissave in it, but here's one that says edit. So we can drag this. Stooner wants to have disadvantage on his saves. So I'm going to drag that over there. Now I can change it here or I can change it here. And I'm going to say, since he was so adamant, let's see if that works. Does disadvantage save on all work? Roll a couple of saves on your character, Lazy Stooner.
Yes, sir. There's on my strength save. Oh, my dex save.
Yeah, so you have disadvantage on all your
Oh,
saves. And let's just
all
leave
right.
that on, and then every time you ever play in a game with me ever in the future, let's just have that on, okay? Does that sound good? All right,
Yes,
good.
Skinny Mac would be all right with that. But what happens? Like, what happens if I spell out strength or just put str in? Does that make a difference
Yes,
for
it does.
specific
So
saves?
let's put strength. So now if you, I put in strength. Now if you roll your strength save, go ahead. So it
So I,
worked.
yep.
Now let me change to a capital S. All right, so I now have it spelled with capital S. Go ahead and roll it. Ah, that didn't work.
And
And
what happens
so
if you put str in? Does that not work either?
that will not work. Go ahead and roll it.
Yes, sir. It did
So,
not work.
yes, it did not work. So on these effects, when you look at the, if you ever want to know what's up, you can go to that effects page by clicking the, this question mark right here in the effects, and it will open this web page, and you can scroll down, and you'll see that there are certain formats that you have to adhere by. So, where's a good example?
Good example is bludgeoning when you add magic to your weapon, which you
Well,
can
no,
just.
but I'm getting, yeah. I don't want to confuse people. I'm trying to find a specific example of where those words are spelled out. Okay, so here we go. So bludgeoning, slashing, piercing, psychic, poison. You see how they're all spelled? They're all spelled out in their entirety, and they're all small letters. Now you will use like capital STR, or like here. This is con. That's in brackets and it's CON capital con. But rather than being that's a modifier. Now this crap will just get so confusing, and I don't this video is not meant to confuse people, but just know that each thing that you code has to adhere by its specific semicolons and colons and small and capital, and the word is a whole thing or the word is an abbreviation. It's all based in how you use it. And I highly recommend anybody that wants to get into this coding, just come to this webpage and read it top to bottom. Take 20 minutes and read the whole thing. And when you're done, then you can say to yourself, yeah, I don't know what the hell I just read. But then read it again and then start opening codes. And while you're playing, while you're DMing with your players, or if you're players, start coding stuff. And if you're not that into it and you want to just buy the ones that I sell, you can do that. But when you get mine, start ripping it apart and start seeing how it works. That way, when you enter a game in the future that you want to make up your own stuff, like say you wanted to make the quarterstaff of smiting, which doesn't even exist, then you can go and do that because you'll know how all the codes work. See, here's all that if type creature stuff. Look at all those. That's every type of creature that you could possibly. You can make an effect so it only affects on those types of creatures. Living construct, merfolk, oak, quagos, shahogan, however you spell that, shape changer, all this stuff. It's crazy. It's out of control.
So what I'm seeing here is a pattern with the syntax.
Oh yeah, there are patterns.
So if once you learn like the if types and things, then I think if you get the language correctly, then if you just plug in the vocabulary for it, and it'll work accordingly.
Right, because there's a lot of stuff that we didn't cover because we could have a coding video for an hour and do one like every week and never stop for the end of time. I mean, this stuff gets just crazy. I mean, it's awesome. But once you get the basics down, like I find that every so often, I know how to do this and I can pretty much do it just without even looking. But sometimes I go to the page and I go, oh wait, was that? Are you supposed to spell that one out, or is that a capital? Well, I have to go check myself. But the information's there, and so we recommend as DMs and as players that everybody who opens Fantasy Grounds that plays with any kind of frequency knows how to do this so that your games can run smoother. I mean, that's the kind of comments I get for the people that buy my stuff off the DMs Guild. They're like, "Oh my God, the game goes so much faster. I can't believe I didn't have this. I'll never go back. Thank you so much." Everybody's pretty pumped about it. But the story that I tell about how I even started coding those and making them available for people was I myself 2 years ago when I started with Fantasy Grounds, I was like, "Oh my God, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it," and I just figured it out. And I mean, Stooner can attest to it because he's been playing with me for a real long time. We would stop the game and we would code something, and then we would always say, "Okay, well, we only have to do this once, and then once it's done, we'll never have to do it again." And it just kind of built from there, and that's how it all ended up for me. But I really like it. I have a lot of fun, and sometimes I'll get an email that, "Oh, this one has a mistake in it," and I'll panic and I'll go open Fantasy Grounds and go look at it right away and see if I can fix it.
Yeah, I'd say your
Yes.
customer service is really good.
Well, also, I was on the lucky end of players because I got to sit there while this was going on, right? So I learned it as it went. The if type thing was pretty much my only problem. And I just recently remembered there's a special request. How do you code unarmed strikes?
Ah, yes. Okay. So unarmed strikes are not unarmed strike is really a weapon. It's not a code. So I have actually coded it. If you go to my thing and you go to the spell, or you go to and it's the only thing that's an item, and it's because it's a weapon, not a code or not a spell code really. So if you go to unarmed strike, I have here the unarmed strike and also the unarmed strike monk version, and you would go to your inventory and you would drag those on, and then there they. Oh yeah, I forgot why does that happen? That happens. I forget. Labor, do you remember why that happens? It gives you the asterisk. Somebody told me why, and I can't remember now.
No, I don't remember.
Oh, is it identification? Yeah, it's unidentified. That's why.
Mhm.
I have the identify. I put them unidentified. That's why. Okay, there we go. Now it should be right. Ah, there we go. Okay, so unarmed strike is there, and then unarmed strike monk is there because the monk gets a different thing. So if you want them, boom, you drag them over. Yeah, it's done. But the answer to Stooner's question, how do you build it, is you go down here, you build a weapon. It's a new weapon. You call it unarmed strike. You then go over, and the regular unarmed strike is only it's only one bludgeoning damage. You don't get anything else other than just one bludgeoning, so you have to blank everything out. It's not even a D4 or anything, it's just one. So if I clear everything out of this box and put bludgeoning, and then close it up, now we'll see, I've got a +2 because I think that's the strength. So, unarmed strike, +2, 1 bludgeoning. So that's it. And then you want to make sure that when you do that, you equip it. So we'll put equip there. And then if we go to combat, there they are. Quarterstaff, unarmed strike, right there.
I have a
And
question.
yeah, before I forget, the other things that everyone always, or that I as a DM I always require my players to have, is the actions. And if you go to the coding things that I have in there dodge, help, hide, and ready. So you can just drag those on. And you can, of course, make these yourself. You can absolutely make those. They're really simple. Dodge is just the word dodge. Help is that you give advantage to checks all to someone. Hide is just the word hide as a note. And ready is that you're readying an action. And then when you're in the combat tracker, you tell the DM, oh, you know what? I'm going to ready a melee attack in case any bad dude comes around the corner. Oh, you're going to ready? Okay, bam, you put that on there, you're ready. Like that. That's it. So those are just things I require all my players to have so that if you're going to dodge, help, hide, or ready, they're all there, and then they're really simple. But look, if you look at them, you can just build those real quick. You don't need to buy the ones I did. You can just build them. They're really easy. But go ahead, Liverman. What's your question?
Okay, it's two questions. So the help action, is that very similarly coded to the cleric spell that gives people guidance?
I believe it's exactly the same.
Okay. The next
Yeah.
question is, where do we find the syntax or the information for the weapon properties? So let's open an unarmed strike, or excuse me, the quarterstaff that you made earlier. Remember, you would put the reroll. I noticed that some weapons have properties in there, but most of them don't. And I
I
was
think
wondering where that comes from.
I think all weapons have properties, but it might be blank.
Right.
Yeah.
Just
So
curious.
yeah. So sometimes in there also it might say adamantine or some other kind of things like that. I don't know. I've never really
Okay.
paid too much
Okay.
attention, but so we're gonna give away the other prize. I think we're pretty much done, except for if anybody has any questions, we'll certainly uh, we'll certainly yeah. So I see Joe Numbers in the chat. Is unarmed strike? You still have that as just one damage? It's not just one damage, is it? What is it, Joe? Tell me. That might be wrong, you guys. That's just me saying it's one damage in my head, but it might be your strength modifier or whatever. I don't know. Somebody has to look that up in the PHP. I told you how to code it, but I might have told you the wrong thing about how to code it because it's
Yeah,
one.
plus strength.
Okay, 1 plus strength. Okay, easy. So instead of 1, we also add strength. So
Properties.
no, not properties. We go to damage, right? We go down here and we add strength right here.
Yep.
And the reason it's 0 is because this person has a 10 strength. So now if we say
Boom.
16 strength, now we got 4 bludgeoning. Yeah, thanks, Joe. Joe Numbers, everybody. He knew what was going on. So the important thing is I showed you how to code it, but I gave you just the wrong information about what to use. So yeah, unarmed strike is your strength modifier plus your. And actually, you know what? To be honest, I think I have it coded right. Do I not? If not, I'll have to fix that. Let's go to items. What was my original? Yeah, it's coded right. I went and uncoded it. I have it. It's coded correctly because it says base plus 1, and base is your strength, or dex if you're a monk or whatever,
Cool.
or the ranger. I don't know. I don't know the class. I don't know. I've never played D&D before, you guys. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Okay, let's give away that prize. So let's reset, and let's type in coding, and so I will start the raffle. This raffle is for the coding package, which includes all of the spells. Here, I'll show you the thing. It's right here. It's the 5e coding package. It includes the spell effects, the class features, the race traits, and the feat effects. $29.99 of value. So if you want to enter to win that, go right ahead. And the keyword is coding, so type exclamation coding and you'll get in on that. And do we have any other questions from the chat, you guys, or any questions from you two?
I'm pretty good. That was really informative. Thank you. I did learn a couple things today.
Cool. Sooner?
No, sir, I am really good. I learned the only thing I needed to know left for coding, but I also went the lazy way and just bought it.
Me
Well,
too.
yeah, I'll say again that anybody that wants to be lazy and just buy the ones that I made, I'm very happy about that. A lot of people don't. A lot of people think I'm getting rich. A lot of people think that I get all that money, which I don't. I only get half that money because WotC takes the rest. And anything that's marked with Fantasy Grounds, I believe Fantasy. I'm not too sure. Even though I'm a social media coordinator for that company now, I do not know how they get paid from DM's Guild. I haven't found out that information. But I know that SmiteWorks gets a cut from anybody from the DM's Guild, from One Bookshelf, the guys that run the DM's Guild. They give Fantasy Grounds a portion of it if the author marks all of their things from Fantasy Grounds, which I do, of course. And so, but all that money that people put toward my items, I very much appreciate that. But I only get half of that, so the other half goes to the powers that be. So a lot of people think, I'm giving Rob all this money, but I get some, but I'm not getting rich. But I do so much appreciate that. But it's more important to me because you guys know, like, if I talk too much about it, I'll start crying because I get all choked up. But Fantasy Grounds and the community and Fantasy Grounds College and just this whole role-playing thing that everybody's doing is very important to me. And I spend basically all my time doing this stuff. And it's a huge, big, I don't know, positive thing for me to know that I'm helping players to play their games smoother and faster and have more fun and take less time out to worry about trying to code stuff that doesn't work right for them or whatever. And anything I can do to speed that up for everybody, I'm just happy to do it.
So I had a question for Stooner.
Shoot, sir.
Whenabouts would you say? I know you got a pretty good memory. Were you helping Rob with the coding? So, like, what time of year was it? This time of year, last year, or was it way before that? Or
It was about 4 months before this last year. So right in the fall, like at the end of fall last year. Or
okay, reason I
actually 3 months
asked.
ago.
Right. The reason I ask is because when I first got into this, it was exactly to this day is the day I actually got into Fantasy Grounds. Today is my anniversary. And within about a month of me starting, some of those codes that you guys had prepared early on had trickled into my game from other players.
Nice.
So it only took about 4 months to get the word out.
Not even that. I think like 2.5, 3 months, something like that. Well, yeah, I guess you're right. It would be. Yep, about
Yeah, I
4 months.
think
I'm good at this game.
Yeah,
I
you are.
think it was Stooner and Urash and a couple other people who kind of browbeat me. Why don't you just write all these up? And Gwydion was helping me, and there's a bunch of people in the community that were like, you know what, just make them all. Like, who are you kidding? Like, just do it. I'm like, all right, fine. And then I ended up doing, and then like a monster was created because then now I'm like looking for stuff to do all the time. Like, oh, what else can I do? And then I just did all the items. Because remember, Leroon, you and I talked about it, and I went and I typed items. I opened every WotC source. I opened Xanathars, Volos, everything that we have. And I opened all up, and I clicked on items, and there was like 4,000 items. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing
Oh
that.
my goodness.
Yeah. But
And
then I
browbeat him.
realized, yeah, he beat me down, and made me do it. But then after a few discussions, like about 30-minute discussions 4 or 5 times, we came to find out that first of all, I didn't need to do scrolls because all scrolls are spells, and we've already done all the spells. So I was like, okay, well maybe. So I broke it down into sections, and I'm like, rods, wands, staffs, which by the way is staffs, Staffs. It is not staves or staff, Staves. Everybody's bitching at me about that. But in D&D, it's staffs with 2 Fs, and just trust me, it is. Look it up. Go in the. You never find the word staves in Player's Handbook or DMG. You can't do it. I'll give you $5. No, I won't, because what if somebody finds out I have to give 1,000 people $5? I can't do it.
I think older editions had that, but not.
Maybe it is, yeah, but 5e, it definitely says staffs. So anyway, I thought, well, rods, there's only 9 of them. I'll do that. And then I did it, and then I just kind of got away from me, and now I've done it all. All right.
That's awesome.
We're going to give away a prize. We have the raffle is closed. I'm going to draw a winner for the coding package. And the winner is J.K. Sage. Is that right? J.K.S.A.G.E. I want to say 2 things to J.K. Sage, if that's the name. First of all, congratulations for winning. Second of all, boo, you're not a follower. Boo, hit that follow button.
Boo.
Boo. You are not a follower.
JQ Sage.
JQ Sage, yeah.
Sage.
So JQ Sage.
He's been here all night.
So get a hold of me on Discord. I'll once again post the Discord thing. So get a hold of me on Discord and PM me, and then I'll make sure you get your prize. And congrats again. And I would like to once again state that the opinions on this show amongst Lazy Stooner and Leroon and myself are not that of Smiteworks USA LLC or Fantasy Grounds. Even though I am... Ooh. Oh, thanks for the follow, not JK Sage. Ria Nimada, thanks for the follow. Even though I'm an employee now of Smiteworks on the social media side, this is a show that I had already planned to do before I even got hired by them. So this is a... Ooh. There it is. There he did. He followed me. Thank you, sir. Nice. Or ma'am, I don't even know. JK, how do you know who? That could be Jacqueline. How do we know who it is?
JQ.
JQ, okay. But anyway, we had planned this show out before, and so I'm not doing this because coincidentally Doug hired me on February 1st. I was going to do this anyway. But just to let you know, it's a Rob Toohey thing. It's separate. I'm not trying to say that it's Smite Works or anything, but everybody knows I love Fantasy Grounds, and Doug and John and James and everybody that works at Fantasy Grounds, they know I love Fantasy Grounds, and so they're not upset that I'm doing a show about how to do stuff, and I'm sure they should be happy about it. But just to let everyone know, officially, they don't endorse this show from me or anything like that. It's just my idea to do on my own. But I want to thank Leroon and of course Lazy Sinner for being here today. You guys were awesome.
May
And
I do a plug before we call
yes,
it?
you may. If there's any final questions, put them in the chat. But yeah, go right ahead, Stunner.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're like me, you don't have a shit ton of money to be able to support streams, but if you type exclamation gather in his chat right now, it'll take you to a page where you can tip him for free by playing games on your phone. I have done this. It is pretty fucking fun. I'm still addicted to one game, and I know another person that's still addicted to that same game too. And you don't have to do anything except for a couple hours on your phone. Like, just look into it because it's a lot nicer than having to spend money on Twitch.
Nice.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I didn't even know about all that, but I know that Stunner and I know Joe Numbers was doing that as well. So and I don't even I don't even know how it works. It's in my channel, but I don't know how it works. But yeah, you can go to GatherBot and play free games on your phone, and then somehow if you complete certain missions or get so many points or something like that, then you can it'll forward me tips on my channel and it doesn't cost you guys anything. So yeah, that's cool.
That is cool. And also, I mean, we get some good customer service out of Fantasy Grounds and Rob. So if you guys need any help, those guys are very helpful when you have any account issues or if you see mistakes or anything like that. Those guys are awesome.
Yeah, we love Fantasy Grounds.
Yep.
Okay, guys. If there's no more questions in the chat, I think we can go ahead and wrap it up.
Hold on. Wait.
Sidewinder Me says he still has a
Wait.
landline.
We got a question.
Okay, what is it?
What's the next show? What's going on
Ah, what's the next show? Let's find out. The next show will be Sunday,
next?
and the next show will be Don't Do This.
Awesome.
It's going to be called Don't Do This, and our special guest will be Furied Fate. And
Yes.
we will be giving away a prize on that show as well. It might not be what's in the spreadsheet there. I might change that, but we will be giving away a prize. I will do that every show, by the way. But yeah, we'll be having special guest Furied Fate on Sunday, same time, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, Sunday night, and that'll be the 18th. And we'll do Don't Do This with Furied Fate.
Yep.
Fury is a fantastic player to play with.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's cool.
And
She was one of my first students, and my first Patreon donor too, by the way.
Excellent. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the stream for tonight, and I'll let you guys go, and then I'll talk to the stream here for a minute and do my final words like I always do.
Have a good night, sir, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right, man. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
All right. Take care. All right, guys. So this will be the end of the stream. I want to thank everybody for coming by tonight. Oh, we're not going live. I should take that off there. Boop, boop, boo. Right there. No, not that. Yeah, that. So thanks for coming by, everybody. This video will be up on YouTube. If we covered anything and you were like, oh, Jesus, what was that? Then you can go back and watch it. But hopefully that was informative for everybody. We are going to be doing these shows, All Things Fantasy Grounds, on Sundays and Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific. So we're going to try and sustain that. We're going to try and keep it going for as long as we can. And I will have Leroon as my co-host for most of those, and hopefully a guest to come in and talk with us about whatever it is the subject matter is for each of those shows as well. So even though it wasn't a game, I am going to give out end of stream awards as I always do. Congrats again to the two winners for their prizes today. Let's give out the end of stream rewards, which is just a gold piece economy in the chat. And whoops, what did I do? Reset the counter. Oh well, I didn't mean to do that. Oh well. So there that is. And also, just as a reminder, There's the things in the chat right now that you guys can do to support the stream. Stooner talked about the Gather bot where you can play games, and so there's that. But you can also come to our Discord and meet some other players and DMs that are hanging out on Discord. You can go to my Patreon page if you'd like to. We have levels for as low as $1. You can subscribe to the channel if you wish. If you have Amazon Prime, you can even subscribe to for free. A lot of people don't know that. You can donate to the channel if you wish. The current bit boss is Urash54, and the way you can take down the bit boss is by either cheer bits, you can donate, you can, somebody just did something, you can sub to the channel, or you can resub to the channel, and all those things count against taking down the bit boss. And what just happened? Joe Numbers dissed Urash by 1,000 points, but I don't know why. It says Joe Numbers has damaged the bit boss for 1,000 damage with their bit boss points. He has bit boss points. Well, I guess there's another way to do it. Joe Numbers knows how, because he's a master of all that Gatherbot stuff. Oh, it's from playing games, bitches. So the other thing you guys can do is follow me on Twitter and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please subscribe to YouTube because YouTube is bitches, and they're trying to stick it to the small guy. And unless you have 1,000 followers, on February 20th, which is only 7 more days, they're going to cut you off. So your videos will still work, but you won't get any revenue. You won't get anything from them. They're going to take all your stuff. Man. Hey, Fantasy Grounds College has subscribed. Fantasy Grounds College, everybody. Thanks for the sub. Oh, and that's going to take down the bit boss. I believe it should. I don't know why it didn't. That's kind of odd. But thanks for the sub. And what else was I going to say? I think that's it. Yeah, and guys, don't forget, if you don't know what Fantasy Grounds College is, you absolutely need to check out Fantasy Grounds College, because they basically do all day, every day, 24/7 what I'm doing now, which is they help people learn the software. They have classes. They have how to build a character. They have how to DM. They have stuff about maps. They have all kinds of seminars, and it's all volunteers. It's almost about 1,400 people that Leroon put together over there. They have their own Discord, and so there's the link. You can check those guys out. And I highly recommend getting involved in the community if Fantasy Grounds is your thing. Keep in mind also that if Fantasy Grounds is not your thing, but you want it to be your thing, you can try it out. $3.99, $4. You can try it out for a month. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it anymore. But you get the full license. And you can build characters and save them and do the whole thing. If you want to check it out and have all full access to the whole software, you can do it for $4. So there you go. I think that's it. LOL, nothing lazy sooner. It's all just silly point scores, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Anyways, guys, thanks for hanging out. I will start the VOD after I finish. The first thing in the reruns when I start it is the first episode of this show. So it was the what did we do? I can't even remember. What did we do on Sunday? We did the options menu. We covered the options menu, so that's what that'll be. All right, guys. Thanks again, everybody. That's gonna be it, and we will see you. I guess. Wait, today's Tuesday, so there is no game tomorrow because Valentine's Day, because people have like honeys and sweethearts. So there's no game tomorrow. We have a game not on Thursday because Thursday is Rob's day off that he has to recoup and try to not like freak out because he's doing D&D 24/7. But Friday, Tomb of Annihilation. We will be back Friday for Tomb of Annihilation at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern, and that's going to be with Stooner and Urash and Susie and Baboonsky and that whole crew. Joe Numbers, and I think that's it because we lost Schmo. So I think it's just those 5 people. And me. I'll be DMing. Oh, I need a nap, you guys. All right, I'm going to shut her down. That's it, guys. Thanks once again for making this show a success. I'm glad you all came to watch tonight. I hope to see you back again next time. And until that next time, good gaming, everyone.